So, good afternoon, students. Today, we'll be starting with the second unit of your Java programming language. It's using Java. So, hence, on Tuesday, we had been completed with your first unit. If you want to have any doubts or any complications or any problems, in that position, you can send me the messages, and already have been sent an assignment within the WhatsApp groups. You write within a WhatsApp group, and I will be saying I am going to give the time limit. I am going to give the submission date for you by today evening or tomorrow. Okay. Today we'll be starting with the next very important unit of your Java programming language, that is called as classes. Classes is nothing but called as a collection of same set of objects. Classes are nothing but called as a same set of or a similar set of objects we are going to call. For example, we can say class name is called as a fruit. Then orange as one of the object, and you're going to have apple, you're going to have the pineapple, and you'll be having another sort of different types of fruits which are called as objects, which are having a similarities towards the particular class called as fruit. Fruit is a class which is having a similar set of objects called as these are all the different types of examples. Hence, you can take a simple example of another one, flower. Lily, rose, jasmine are the different types of objects which are said to be a part of your what? The flower. Or you can take a simple another example called as what? The significance of what you can say vegetable. Vegetable is a class name which is going to have its own set of what you can say own set of objects like or similar set of objects like onion, potato, tomato, and all those things. We can call them as what? Objects. And hence, sir, you are saying these all the things. Yes, I'll be having a confusion. How actually the class is going to be actually defined? The class can be defined in a form of what? It is an object-oriented programming concept where bicycle is a class wherein which bicycle can have with racing bikes, mountain bikes, and tandem bikes as a subclasses. Okay, bicycle is a one type of a class wherein which you are going to have different types of bicycles will be there, racing bikes will be there, mountain bikes will be there, tandem bikes will be there, every different types of bikes will be there. Here is a sample code for a possible implementation of bicycle class to give you an overview of a class declaration. How actually the class is going to be declared? Just I am going to remind once again here, there will be two different type classes within the Java programming language. One is main method class and another one is normal class, which is going to be called within the main method class. So once again I am going to repeat for you over here, that is you are going to have within a single program you are going to have two different classes. One is called as a main method class, another one is called as a normal class, which should be called within the main method class. And whatever the file name you want to say or whatever the file name you wanted to give, it should be of main method class itself. So we can call this one as what? Classes. So it has been given a simple example how actually it can be exist with a different set of informations. We shall see. So class every time it is declared as a public. Why? Because that should be accessed everywhere within a programming. Please be considered over here, because please understand here there will be a different types of access specifiers or modifiers you are going to have. What are those? Public, private, protected, and friendly protected we can have. Public means it can be accessed anywhere within a programming. We can call that one as public. Private is nothing but called as it should be accessed within the particular content or construct. We can call context. It will be having a context. Within that context, you are going to call. You can take a simple example. Now, if I wanted to take a Java class, means I should have to call only the BCA third semester of A and B sections. I could not call all the students. If I am going to have a function, at that time I should have to club each and everything. That is nothing but called as public. Function will be called to everyone. Classes individually called. We can call that one as public and private. And protected means it will be accessed by only the particular format. Means if I am taking a class for A for this particular timetable, means I am going to take for them only, that is protected. Please be understood. Protected means particular timing, private means particular context, and public means wholesome or a many number of students, or any way we can call that one as public. So he has been defined with some different data members and member functions. Here you are going to have two different types of informations within a class. One is called as data member, where you are going to declare the variables, and member functions which are used to access the data members outside the class wherever there is necessary. So public in cadence, public int gear, public int speed. These are the three different types of what you can call, these are the three different types of data members defined to bicycle. They are the properties or a behavior of a bicycle. Bicycle can have a gear, bicycle will be having cadence, bicycle could be having with a certain speed. So the properties or attributes or members can be called as data, which is defined within the data member section. And every data values are defined with public. Why? The public is can be accessed anywhere within the programming set. So nextly you are going to define those all the information using with the function. What I have said, member function will be there. Whatever the class data members, if you wanted to access outside the world, outside the program, or outside the class, at that position you need to go with the member functions. And the member functions can be defined in two ways. One is called as normal, another one is called as constructor. You will be learning those all the things in coming days. So here public bicycle, once again you are having a type of value called as public, and bicycle is a class. Just think, if a function is defined with a class name, means it is called as constructor. Please be understood. So we are not started with the constructor. We will be going with that one. Public bicycle. Public is a access specifier, wherein which this function can be used outside the class without having any hesitance. And within that one you have written with some parameters. Already have seen in the functions of your C programming language. Int start cadence, int start speed, int start gear. So these are the different types of parameters which are used to access the information from the main method class to be stored within the data members of your class. So please be very careful when you are going to know about these statements. The parameter values will be accessed through whom? Through the main method class, where at the time of execution of a program, the user is going to give the information. Those all the informations will be stored within these different types of parameters. Then after the parameters will be saved within the data members of a particular class, where you are going to call this one. So public bicycle is defined with three different types of parameters, and within the braces, opening and closing brace, you are defined with gear is a data member of your bicycle, which is assigned with start gear. Means the values of the parameters will be stored within gear. What I have said, through the main method class you are going to send the information. That information will be collected, and that information will be through the main normal function or a constructor function, and it will be stored within the members of the what class. So start gear gives it all the information to the gear. Start cadence will be giving the information to the cadence. Start speed will be giving in the information to speed. So these are the different type of parameters which are read, accepted, given, or given the constant values will be accepted through the main method class, through the object. That object will be accessed to the function. Function will be storing the informations through the parameters, and those all the informations will be stored within the class data members. Then you have stored the information over there. So public void set condense int new value, another variable you are going to have here, another function called as set condense, wherein which condense equals to new value. Then value whatever you are going to send will be stored within directly to your condense of a start data member of your bicycle. Next, public void set gear int new value, gear is equal to new value. So another variable value will be sending through the another function called as set gear. There is the two ways you can make the usage of your data members. One is directly applying to the data members, or through the function you are going to access, and within the function you are going to define those all the values through the parameters, and you can store those all the things within the data members of your own class. Then public void, you just observe every functions and every data members defined within a class are accessed with the public, because those all the information should be used outside the class without having any hesitance towards the accessing of a part. So another type of a function you are defining here with public void apply gear. Whenever the speed is more, then ultimately you are going to decrement the speed of the gear. Whenever the hump will be there, you are going to decrease the speed of your motorbike. Like that way, here also you are going to define with some of the values which is going to deduct the speed of the particular what your bike or motorbike or racing bike, mountain bike, whatever it will be there, it will be deducted. Then you are going to have with the speed up. Speed up means if you wanted to go speed, then ultimately you can increase the data or the speed of a bike into more. So this is how the simple example you are going to have with the part, how actually the class can be defined and how you are going to define with the data members as well as member functions within the classes. So once again I am just reminding you that this is a peculiar example to define a class data members and member functions. Yes, no problem with that one. Then how actually the class can be subclassed, how the classes can be accessed to define the different types of classes here. That can be done like this way. So you can see simple example here. Public class, once again you are defining with the public means it is used throughout the function, throughout the main method class, or throughout the programming concept. So public class motorbike extends bicycle means what? Bicycle already have taken, already have been having a class, that bicycle will be accessed those all the data members or member functions within this mountain bike. Then within that one you are going to have a public int seat height. So you're going to have with a data member called as int height. That int height will be recalled within the mountain bike. Mountain bike is going to have with start height of its own data member of the class called as motorbike, and start cadence, start speed or start gear which are not defined within the motorbike, but you are going to extend those all the information, or you are going to access those all the information from the bicycle which are already defined within the bicycle. Those all the information should be accessed. Then afterwards you are going to have a word called as a super here. Super means accessing the information of your main class or a super class or father class we can call. Here two classes are there. In inheritance you will be having with two classes. One is called as father class, another one is son class. Here bicycle is called as a father class and mountain bike is called as son class. The son class is accessing the information from your what? Father class. The mountain bike is accessing the information from the bicycle. So at that position you are going to define with the super of start cadence, start speed, start gear. So these are the three different types of parameters which are not defined in the motorbike but can be extended from the bicycle which you already defined in the main class or the previous class you can say. Next you are going to have the next statement that is called as the seat height is equal to start height. So seat height means the variable or data member which is defined within your class and you are accessing that value. Then you are going to have its own class functions. public void set height into a new value, then you are going to set a new value for that particular information. From this example, what you can understand here, there are two different types of classes. One is called as a bicycle, another one is a motorbike. And motorbike is going to access the information from the bicycle. Motorbike is going to access the information from the home bicycle. So for in that sake, here we can call the classes can be subclassed. And most importantly, you should have to have in your mind, every class is defined with public because of only one part, that it should be accessed or it can be accessed throughout the function, throughout the program. That's why we are going to access to the every statements. Then we shall go for the next statement, how actually the classes can be declared. How actually the classes can be declared, yes, we will go for it. The classes can be declared as like this way. You have seen the classes defined in the following way: my class, field constructor and method declarations. What you can understand from this one? Field declarations, field constructor and method declaration, these are the three parts you are going to have within the class. Fields means data members, constructors means if the constructors, if you want to use the name of a class name, they can be accessed. And the third part you will be having with the method declarations, that is nothing but called as what, the functions which are accessed for the sake of data members to be accessed through the objects of the same class. This is a class declaration. The class body, the area between the braces, whatever you are going to have the opening and closing braces you are going to have, contains all the code that provides for the life cycle of objects created from the class. You please be aware of that one. The objects will be calling the class data members and member functions. The class itself will not going to execute anything. The class is going to go for it. For example, you are sitting within a classroom, you think if a teacher doesn't come means whether it is called as a class? No. We are going to be called as an object. Through the objects, the different types of member functions and data members will be executed. That is the importance. Okay. Then that provides for the life cycle. Life cycle means the objects will be recalled one by one. If you are going to have one object, then you are going to have with one object information. Take example like fruit is there. A fruit that defines object called as apple. Apple will be having a type of different informations, like it will be having a color, it will be having a price, it is going to have a size, it is going to have a quantity. Then this is one object which is going to call the different types of data values to use the fruit. Same way, here you are going to have with another object called as orange. Orange is going to have the different color, different price, different quantity and different informations. Okay, each object will be different from one another. Every object will be not same, but those all the objects will be calling the same class data member values to redefine themselves that we are from it. We can call that one as what? An object and a class relationship. And we are going to have with another sort of statements here, that is constructors for initializing new objects, declarations for the fields that provide the state of the class and its objects, and methods to implement the behavior of a class and its objects. Simply I took an example here. The fields are used to define your data members. Constructors are used to access the objects at the runtime, and methods are used to access the data members of the same class through that particular object within the main method. That is nothing but called as what? How actually the declaration of a classes can be done. The preceding class declaration is a minimal one. It contains only those components of a class declaration that are required. You can provide more information about the class, such as the name of its superclass, whether it implements an interface and so on. At the start of the class declaration, we can have a simple example here. A class, my class extends my superclass implements your interface. So there is a different declarations of the classes are also there. If you are directly defining only class name, it will be having with the field, it will be having with constructor, it is going to have with the what you can say member functions. If you are executing that particular class with something different classes which are there present within the same program, at that position you want to use with another two keywords called as implements and extends. Extends means accessing the information of another class. Implements means accessing the information of interface. Okay, and through that one also you're going to have, you will be defining with the data declarations can be done, that is nothing but called as a field. Constants can be accessed, as well as you can define with method declarations. Either you can go with constructor or with main method, or both the things can also be utilized or used. So in general, class declarations can include these following order. Access modifiers or access specifiers such as public, private are used, and a number of others that you will encounter. The class name with the initial capital a letter capitalized by convention. If you want, you should have to define with the class name as a capital letters to identify that is a class name. Otherwise, no problem, you can define with normally small letters also. There is no any problem with that one. The name of the class parent, if any preceded by the keyword extends, a class can only extend one parent. Here, if any class you wanted to extend, you can extend only one class at a time. There is no any subsequent statement to access more than two classes within the Java programming language. A comma separated list of interfaces implemented by the class. If any preceded by them keyword implements, a class can implement more than one interface. Here there is a very important part of your interface, that is you can extend at a time only one class, but you can implement more than one interface at the most level. The class bound is surrounded by what? Braces. You will be having opening and closing brace, means start of the class and end of the class. A class includes data members, constructors, as well as member functions or method declarations. If you are having confusion, you can define like this way also. A class consists of fields, constructors, as well as method declarations, within which it is going to access through the objects, not by itself. Then we shall go for the next slide, that is how actually the member variables can be declared. Already you have seen. Once again we will have with a simple example. There are three different types of declarations towards the variables. Member variables in a class, these are called fields. If you are declared within the class, then they are called as data members or field declarations. Variables in a method or a block of code, these are called as what they are called as? They are called as local variables. For example, you are written as set gear, int value you are written, that is called as local variable, which is defined within that one only. The class variable can be used outside the class with the help of object. Variables even within the method declarations, you are going to say, they are called as parameters. For example, start gear, start height, start cadence, or start anything, whatever you are going to have within the brackets of a constructor or a method, we can call them as what? The parameters. If any methods or constructors which are defined within the block, then we can call them as local variables. If any variables which are defined for the class, we can call them as class fields or class data members. So for example has been given, the bicycle class uses the following lines of a code to define its fields. Cadence, gear and speed are the variables called as class fields. Okay, These are called as class fields. Field declarations are composed of three of components in order. Zero or more modifiers means you can define with public. If you don't define, no problem. It is called as zero item modifier, such as public or a private. The field's type should be defined compulsorily. That is nothing but int, float, double, char, or byte, or a string, or anything, whatever the type of value you wanted to redefine at the time of execution of the program. You are going to redefine those all the things. We can call them as field type. Then proceeding with the next statement, that is field's name. That is important here. For what sake the program you are executing, on that basis you are going to re-record the statements. The fields of bicycle are named, called as cadence, gear and speed. All are data type with integer and declared with public information. So any object can access this field through the class. That can be done. If you are going to define a private means, they are not going to be accessed outside the class. They will be accessed within the block of context, whatever you can call context. Context means there will be limitation will be there. Public means there will be no any limitation can be accessed anywhere within the part. Okay. So this is how you are going to declare the variables. Then what are the different types of modifiers you are going to have? Access modifiers. Here you have defined with only two. One is called as public and private. Actually, there are four different types. Five are there: friendly, protected, friendly, private, public, and protected. Already had been said, access specifiers will be having with public. Public means anywhere within a program you can access those all the data members or classes or member functions which are declared with public can be accessed anywhere within the program through the objects of the same class. That is important here. Then private means only the context, means within a part, within a area, within a block of code, within a opening and closing braces you are going to use. Neither of that one we are not going to access anything. We can call that one as what? A private. Protected means within a particular format. If any class is subclassed, at that position that subclass can be accessing the information from the superclass. That is called as protected, means particular we can say. Then friendly means what? Friendly means very importantly it is going to access only the informations which are the friend of the other class. Please be aware, very important here. The informations which are to be very friend with the other class statements can be accessed within the program. We can call that one as what? That is called as what? A friendly. And next one you will be having with friendly protected. Means the only objects or the only data members which are protected within a main class can be a friend of your subclass. Otherwise, those informations could not be accessed anywhere within the program. Hence, here there are two important specifiers he has been mentioned, or modifiers he has been mentioned, that is public and as well as protected. The first modifier used lets you control what other classes can access to the member field. For the moment, consider only public and private. Other access specifiers will be discussed in the format. Public modifier. The fields or methods or constructors which are defined with public can be accessible from all the classes. Main method class can also be used. If this particular members can be defined within the other classes, that can also be used. There is no any problem. Then private modifiers, those the fields will be accessible only within the one class. Means if you are defined instead of public, if you want to define private int gear, that gear variable can be used within the class. If you wanted to use that one through the object within the other class or like a main method, then it will be having an error. We can't access the information or a data which is declared with private. Private members are those which are defined for or used within the class, not outside of the class. So you already seen this example within the previous part. You can look after that one, how actually the private publics are used. He has been redefined here. Variable names, all variables, whether they are the fields, local variables or parameters, follow the same naming rules and conventions that were covered in the language basics. Variable naming, it should be starting with capital or letter should be capital compulsorily. Okay. Defining methods now. Defining methods means how you are going to define a particular method. Now you have seen the variable declaration, you have seen the access modifiers. Now we are going to go for method declaration. The method defining or declarations can be done in the form of what? The type of a modifier, the type of variable you are going to use defined, that is double, int, float, and the method name. And within that method name you are going to have a opening and closing bracket, a rounded bracket, wherein which you are going to specify the parameters which will be used within the function. Please be careful about what I am saying here. Public means access modifier, means where actually that particular function can be used. Data type means what type of value you are going to receive and you are going to send. The third one, you are going to have a calculate answer, means it is called as a method name. And within rounded brackets you are defined with the parameters. They are the values will be accessed from the main method through the object to store those all the information within your class variables. Okay. Then you are going to end with opening and closing braces. The only required elements of the method declarations are the method return type, name, a pair of parentheses, and the pair of curly braces. These are the 4 different types of information should be there within your mind. One is called as a modifier, another one is called as a return type, name, parentheses, parameters, then going with the what? A braces. So these are all the things if you are going to have within your mind, then there will be no any different defining of discussing or defining of your methods. So other things we shall see tomorrow in the morning class. Thank you very much for the day.